Billionaire mocked a poor black girl. $100 million was the prize. She opened the safe in 30 seconds. Get that dirty little girl away from the displays. She looks like she hasn't showered in a week. James Smith's voice cut through TechCore's ballroom. 500 heads turned toward the corner. Linda Williams, 11, sat on the marble floor. Grease stained her worn shirt. Scuffed sneakers 2 sizes too big. A broken circuit board lay in pieces beside her. Smith strolled over, smirking into the microphone. Wait, I have a better idea. He gestured toward the 8-foot titanium vault behind him. 47 MIT engineers couldn't crack this in 3 years. But maybe poverty makes you creative, right? He leaned down. Open it, sweetheart. And I'll give you $100 million. Finally get you and your janitor mom out of that apartment. The crowd erupted in laughter. I'll try, Linda whispered. 60 minutes later, he wasn't laughing anymore. Linda hadn't wanted to come. She was 11, 6th grade at Oakland Public School. Her mother worked nights cleaning TechCore's offices. Maria brought Linda because she had no one else to watch her. The ballroom gleamed with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking San Francisco Bay. Crystal chandeliers cast diamond patterns across marble floors. Women in evening gowns. Men in tailored suits. Children in clothes that cost more than Maria's monthly rent. Linda sat in the corner with her purple backpack, trying to stay invisible. TechCore Industries hosted Family Innovation Day twice a year. The event was pure public relations. Employees brought their kids. Executives gave speeches about diversity and opportunity. Photographers snapped pictures for the company website. Today, 350 family members filled the downtown headquarters. Linda watched her mother move along the far wall, emptying trash bins that weren't even full yet. Maria wore her cleaning uniform, navy blue polo, black pants. She kept her head down, worked quickly, tried not to disturb anyone. A group of teenagers laughed near the refreshment table. Designer jeans, brand-name sneakers. One girl held a phone with a case that probably cost what Linda's mother made in a week. Linda pulled her knees to her chest, made herself smaller. She'd learned early how to read a room. Who belonged? Who didn't? The invisible line between the people who gave orders and the people who cleaned up after them. Her sneakers were hand-me-downs from a neighbor's daughter. 2 sizes too big. She'd stuffed tissue paper in the toes. Her jeans had patches on both knees. Her shirt was clean, but the fabric was thin from too many washes. She looked exactly like what she was. Poor. A little boy ran past, chasing a remote-controlled car. He bumped Linda's backpack. It tipped over. Contents spilled across the marble. A battered stethoscope. Her grandfather's. Medical surplus from the 1960s, rubber tubing cracked with age. A small screwdriver set in a torn fabric case. A decades-old scientific calculator with a screen that flickered when you pressed too hard. 3 spiral notebooks filled with her grandfather's handwriting. The boy's mother appeared, pulled him away. Don't touch that, she whispered, but not quietly enough. Linda gathered her things quickly, shoved them back in the bag. Her face burned. That's when she saw the broken XR mini robot on the display table. Someone had tried to demonstrate it during the presentation. The arms stopped moving mid-motion. A TechCore engineer shrugged, moved on to the next exhibit. Linda couldn't help herself. She stood, walked over, knelt down. Started examining the joints. The servo motor was jammed. Simple fix. She could see it immediately. That's when James Smith noticed her. And everything changed. The vault Smith mentioned stood 8 feet tall. Matte black titanium. A glowing blue quantum interface panel on the front. It dominated the center of the stage like a monument. Vault Genesis, they called it. For 3 years, it had been TechCore's most embarrassing secret. The company built cutting-edge robotics and AI systems, but their own CEO couldn't access his private safe. 47 engineers had tried. All failed. Inside sat proprietary designs worth $3 billion. The company's entire future. TechCore was going public in 14 days. Securities and Exchange Commission auditors needed to verify the assets. If the vault stayed sealed, the IPO collapsed. 2,000 jobs disappeared. Smith was desperate, but he'd never admitted in public. So when he saw Linda kneeling beside the broken robot, he saw an opportunity. Make a joke. Get some laughs. Distract everyone from the real problem. He didn't expect her to say yes. Jessica Thornton, TechCore's HR director, rushed over. 48 years old, perfectly pressed suit, calculating smile. She leaned close to Smith. Let her try. Film it. When she fails, we'll have adorable content for social media. Even our youngest visitors love STEM. Perfect optics. Smith nodded slowly. Brilliant. He turned back to the microphone. All right, folks. Looks like we have a volunteer. His voice dripped with theatrical enthusiasm. Let's give our young friend here a chance to make history. Scattered applause. Uncertain laughter. Brad Kowalski stood near the vault. Lead engineer, 35, MIT graduate. He'd spent 18 months trying to crack Genesis. Every attempt failed. He crossed his arms. Sir, is this really? It's fine, Brad. Smith's smile didn't reach his eyes. Let the kid have her moment. 60 minutes. That's fair, right? He looked at Linda. You get 1 hour, sweetheart. No help, no computers. Just you and that pretty little head of yours. Someone in the crowd whispered, "This is cruel." Smith ignored it. Maria Williams pushed through the crowd. Mr. Smith, please. We don't want any trouble. Linda, baby, let's go home. Mom? Linda's voice was quiet but steady. I want to try. Honey, these people. I promised Grandpa I'd never walk away from a puzzle. Maria's face crumpled. She knew that tone. Knew her daughter wouldn't budge. Smith clapped his hands together. Excellent. Someone start a timer. 60 minutes. And someone call TechCrunch. Let's get press in here. Within 10 minutes, 3 news outlets had cameras rolling. A live stream started. 50,000 viewers tuned in. The comments section filled immediately. This is disgusting. Why are they letting a child be humiliated like this? That billionaire is a monster. Bet she quits in 5 minutes. Linda walked to the vault. She set down her backpack, unzipped it. Inside, a battered stethoscope, a small screwdriver set, a decades-old calculator with a cracked screen. Brad Kowalski snorted. Is she serious? She's going to use a toy doctor kit on quantum encryption. Brad Kowalski's voice carried across the ballroom. Laughter spread through the engineering team like wildfire. 15 engineers stood watching. All white, all male except 2. They'd spent years on this vault. And now they had to watch a black child from Oakland embarrass herself on camera. Except one of them, a young South Asian engineer named Priya, didn't laugh. She watched Linda's hands. The way the girl touched the vault's surface. Methodical. Careful. She's listening to something, Priya murmured. What? Brad turned. Nothing. Never mind. Linda knelt. She placed the stethoscope against the vault's body below the quantum panel. Not on the glowing interface where everyone expected. On the metal itself. The room quieted slightly. She closed her eyes. Turned her head. Listening. 30 minutes passed. The crowd grew restless. People checked phones. Some left for coffee. A few kids started crying from boredom. Smith lounged in a chair, scrolling through emails. Occasionally he glanced up. How's it going, sweetheart? Need a hint. Linda didn't respond. Maria stood against the wall, silent tears streaming down her face. This was her fault. She should have said no. Should have protected her daughter from this. But Linda had that look. The same look her grandfather Isaiah had. Stubborn. Focused. Unreachable when a problem gripped her. At 45 minutes, Linda pulled out her phone. Cracked screen. Outdated model. She opened a PDF file. Brad noticed. Hey, I thought there were no computers. Smith waved him off. Let her Google all she wants. Won't help. Linda wasn't Googling. She was reading a patent filing she'd downloaded 3 days ago. TechCore's Vault patent from 2018. She'd read it 5 times. There on page 47, footnote 12. Failsafe mechanism, classical tumbler model K7. She'd memorized that line. Her grandfather's journal mentioned K7 tumblers. Old military safes from the 1940s. Progressive resistance locks. She looked up at the quantum panel, then down at the base of the vault. Something didn't add up. At 50 minutes she stood. Took out her calculator and screwdriver. What's she doing? Someone whispered. Linda examined the power cable running into the quantum panel. Followed it with her eyes. Checked the outlet. Then she did something unexpected. She turned to Brad Kowalski. Excuse me, sir. Did someone change the power supply recently? Brad's face went blank for a split second. Then he recovered. What? No. Why would you ask that? This outlet is model K9. The panel specs say K7. Silence. Smith sat up. What does that mean? Linda turned to face the crowd. Her voice trembled slightly, but she pushed through. The quantum panel needs exactly 220 volts. But this outlet outputs 240. That creates electromagnetic interference. She paused. It would make the quantum system unstable. Like turning on stadium lights when you're trying to see a candle. Brad's jaw clenched. That's absurd. You don't understand. I read the patent, Linda interrupted softly. And my grandpa's notebooks. He worked on vaults like this. A TechCrunch reporter leaned forward, suddenly very interested. Dr. Helena Voss entered the ballroom at minute 53. 72 years old. Silver hair pulled back. Stanford professor emeritus. Legend in cryptography. She'd seen the live stream from her Palo Alto home. Drove straight over. She walked directly to Smith. William. He stood, startled. Helena, what are you? I designed the quantum encryption for that vault. You bought my patent 10 years ago. Her voice cut like steel. And you told me you'd never let a child be publicly humiliated in this building. It's just a bit of fun. It's cruelty. She turned to the crowd. I've taught at Stanford for 40 years. I've seen genius in many forms. Age is irrelevant. I've had doctoral students less capable than some undergraduates. I've had teenagers solve problems that stumped tenured professors. She looked at Linda. What's your name, dear? Linda, ma'am. Linda, may I watch you work? The girl nodded. Dr. Voss walked to the vault. She studied Linda's setup. The stethoscope. The calculator. The notes on her phone. Then she saw the power outlet. She knelt down. Examined it. Her face changed. William, did you authorize a power supply change? What? No. She stood. Looked directly at Brad Kowalski. Model K9 on AK-7 system. That's deliberate sabotage. Brad's face flushed red. I don't know what you're talking about. Security will review the footage. Dr. Voss's tone left no room for argument. She turned back to Linda. You noticed the interference? Yes, ma'am. The quantum panel kept flickering when I pressed it. But it shouldn't flicker if it's properly powered. Exactly right. Dr. Voss reached into her purse. Pulled out a small device. Looked like a Bluetooth earpiece. This is a frequency analyzer. I built it for research. It'll show you the electromagnetic signatures in real time. She held it out. Consider it a gift from one engineer to another. Linda's eyes widened. I can use this? You're doing real work. Use real tools. Smith stood. Helena, you can't just. I can. She turned to face him. And if you try to stop this child now, William, I will make sure every major outlet knows exactly what happened here today. Your choice. He sat down. The timer read 55 minutes. Linda took the frequency analyzer. Fitted over her ear. Dr. Voss showed her how to read the tiny display. Thank you, Linda whispered. You already did the hard part, dear. You saw what 47 engineers missed. Dr. Voss smiled. Now show them what listening actually means. The crowd had gone completely silent now. 150,000 people watched the live stream. Hashtags started forming. Hashtag Genius Girl. Hashtag TechCoreVault. Hashtag Linda Williams. Linda turned back to the vault. 10 minutes left. She took a breath. Remembered her grandfather's voice. Machines don't lie, baby girl. People do. But metal always tells the truth. She placed her hands on the quantum panel one more time. The frequency analyzer hummed softly in her ear. She pressed the panel. Once, twice, 3 times. 4. The reading spiked. The electromagnetic field pulsed erratically. Unstable. Fighting itself. Dr. Voss stood beside her, watching the tiny display over Linda's shoulder. What do you see? The professor asked quietly. The interference pattern. Linda's voice was steady now. Confident. It's not random. It's like a wall. The wrong voltage creates a feedback loop that hides everything underneath. And what's underneath? Linda pressed her stethoscope back against the metal. Below the quantum panel. Below the glowing lights and expensive technology. She closed her eyes. There. A hum. Low frequency. Mechanical. A motor, she whispered. Servo mechanism. From the 1940s, maybe earlier. Dr. Voss's expression shifted. Recognition. Then anger. She turned to Smith. You didn't just install my quantum system as backup. You installed it as camouflage. Smith said nothing. The electromagnetic interference isn't a bug. Dr. Voss's voice rose. It's a feature. Brad's sabotage actually made it worse, but you designed it this way from the beginning. High enough voltage to create noise. Low enough to look functional. She faced the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, this vault isn't unhackable because of advanced technology. It's unhackable because it's a magic trick. Misdirection. You put a shiny screen on top of a Cold War safe and told everyone to look at the screen. Brad Kowalski stepped forward. That's speculation. You can't prove. The patent proves it. Linda pulled out her phone again. Showed the screen to the nearest camera. Page 47. Footnote 12. Failsafe mechanism, classical tumbler model K7. That's not backup. That's the real lock. The TechCrunch reporter was filming everything now. Smith stood slowly. His face had gone pale. Even if that's true, which I'm not confirming, how would you access it? Linda looked at him. Small. 11 years old. Scuffed sneakers and grease-stained shirt. By disabling the quantum system first, she said. It's designed to hide the mechanical lock underneath. But the sabotage makes it easier to see through the distraction. She turned to Brad. You tried to make it harder. But you made it easier. Because you didn't understand how the systems interact. Dr. Voss put a hand on Linda's shoulder. 10 minutes left, dear. Can you do it? Linda nodded. Then show them the truth. Oakland, California. 4 years earlier. Linda was 7 years old. School let out at 3:15. She walked 6 blocks to her grandfather's house every afternoon. Isaiah Williams lived alone in a small craftsman with peeling paint. The basement was his kingdom. Tools hung on pegboards. A workbench ran the length of one wall. Dozens of safes lined metal shelves. Some dated back to the 1940s. Isaiah had been a locksmith for 60 years. Banks, government buildings, private estates. When Linda came down the basement stairs that first day, he was working on an old safe from 1952. Come here, baby girl. She walked over. Watched his hands turn a dial. Click, click, click. You hear that? He asked. She nodded. That's the truth talking. He tapped the metal. Machines don't lie. People do. But metal always tells the truth if you know how to listen. He pulled out an old stethoscope. Medical surplus. The rubber tubing had cracks. Put this on. Linda fit the earpieces in. Isaiah placed the chest piece against the safe's door. Now turn the dial. Tell me what you hear. She rotated it slowly. Her eyes widened. Clicking. And a hum. That hum is the tumbler. The click is when it catches. Every number has its own sound. Like music. For 2 years, Isaiah taught her after school. 15 different safes. Mechanical systems. Gear ratios. How metal expands. How sound travels through steel. He showed her his journals. 12 leather-bound notebooks. 60 years of observations. One entry she memorized. Journal 7, August 12, 1983. Model K7 Progressive Resistance Lock. Military surplus. Manhattan Project era. Key feature. Resistance increases with each correct number. Most people give up. Think they're wrong. But the harder it fights, the closer you are. Listen for the whisper under the shout. Linda copied that entry into her own notebook. When she turned 8, Isaiah taught her about motors. Servo mechanisms. Electrical systems. How power flows. Everything connects, baby. A lock isn't just metal. It's physics. Engineering. You understand forces, you can solve anything. The day before Linda's 9th birthday, Isaiah had a stroke. He collapsed in the basement. Linda found him. Called 911. Rode in the ambulance holding his hand. He died 3 days later. Maria couldn't afford a funeral. They cremated him. Scattered his ashes in Lake Merritt. Linda inherited the tools. The journals. The safes. Her mother wanted to sell everything. They needed money. But Linda begged. Maria relented. They moved the tools to their apartment. School became harder after Isaiah died. Kids made fun of her. Why do you smell like oil? Girls don't fix things. You're weird. Teachers dismissed her. When she explained how a lock worked during science class, the teacher smiled. That's sweet, honey. But let's focus on the curriculum. Linda stopped talking about it. Kept her knowledge hidden. But she never forgot. Machines don't lie. Metal tells the truth. On the morning of Family Innovation Day, Linda packed the essentials. Grandfather's stethoscope. Calculator. Screwdriver set. Journal 7. She didn't know why she brought that journal. Just a feeling. The timer reset to 10 minutes. Digital countdown appeared on the wall screen. 10 o'clock. Linda pressed the quantum panel rapidly. 1, 2, 3, 4. The panel flickered. Glitched. Then went dark. The crowd gasped. What did you do? Brad yelled. I overloaded it. Linda said calmly. The K9 outlet can't sustain rapid power draws. The quantum system shut itself down to prevent damage. She knelt. Used her screwdriver to remove 4 small bolts at the vault's base. A panel came loose. Behind it, a circular dial. Brass. tarnished with age, mechanical and ancient. There it is, she whispered. Dr. Voss leaned in, saw the dial. Her eyes widened. My God, William. You actually installed AK-7 as backup. Smith said nothing. That's military-era Cold War technology, Dr. Voss continued. Progressive resistance. 1.8 million possible combinations. Can she crack it in 10 minutes? Someone asked. No one can crack that in 10 minutes, Brad said. It's impossible. Linda placed her grandfather's stethoscope against the vault, just above the dial. The room audio system picked up the sound. Everyone heard it through the speakers. Tick, tick, She began turning the dial, slowly, listening. 9 minutes left. Her world narrowed. Just her. The vault. The sound. Tick. The tumbler catching at number 31. Frequency 2850 Hz. She noted it mentally. Moved on. Tick. Louder this time. Number 7. 3120 Hz. The resistance increased. She had to use both hands now. She's actually doing it, someone whispered. 8 minutes. Linda's palms were sweating. The dial felt heavier. More resistant. This was it. Progressive resistance. The thing her grandfather wrote about. When it fights back, baby girl, you're getting warmer. Number 52. 3180 Hz. The dial took real force to turn now. She gripped harder. Turned. Click. 7 minutes. The crowd pressed closer. Even people who'd left came back. The ballroom filled again. Maria stood with Dr. Voss, clutching the older woman's hand without realizing it. Smith watched, stone-faced. Brad Kowalski's career was ending. He knew it. Security had already pulled the footage. He'd switched that outlet 3 days ago. Thought it would just slow things down. Make the vault impossible to crack before the audit deadline. Instead, an 11-year-old girl had turned his sabotage into a solution. Number 14. 3350 Hz. The resistance spiked. Linda had to brace her feet. Put her whole body into turning the dial. She's going to hurt herself, Maria said. She's going to succeed, Dr. Voss replied. 6 minutes. Linda's arms shook. The dial wouldn't budge. She remembered Isaiah's words. Journal 7. If it won't turn, you're forcing it. Let the machine tell you. She released pressure just slightly. Felt a micro vibration. A whisper of movement. She adjusted her grip. Turned at a different angle. The dial moved. 5 minutes. One more number. The final tumbler. Linda turned the dial slowly. So slowly. Listening for the frequency that would unlock everything. The sound changed. Rose higher. 3520 Hz. The resistance peaked. 32 kilograms of force. Linda's hands were going numb. But she felt it. The truth in the metal. One more click. She turned. Clunk. The sound of 100-year-old bolts releasing echoed through the ballroom speakers like thunder. The vault door swung open. Smooth. Silent. Perfect engineering from another era. Linda fell back. Sat on the floor. Breathing hard. For 3 seconds no one moved. Then the room exploded. People leaped to their feet. Applause crashed like a wave. Screaming. Cheering. Phones recording from every angle. The live stream chat scrolled so fast it became unreadable. Maria ran to her daughter. Dropped to her knees. Pulled Linda into her arms. You did it, baby. You did it. Linda couldn't speak. Just held her mother. And cried. Dr. Voss approached the vault. Looked inside. 3 server racks. Files. Documents. The SEC auditor verified the contents. Checked serial numbers. Nodded. Everything is accounted for. The IPO can proceed. James Smith stood frozen. His billion-dollar company just got saved by the child he'd mocked an hour ago. On camera. In front of 200,000 viewers. He'd just handed his own destruction to an 11-year-old girl from Oakland. But no one was looking at him anymore. All eyes were on Linda. Dr. Voss knelt beside her. How did you know? Linda looked up. Know what, ma'am? That the quantum system was a decoy. I didn't. Not at first. Linda wiped her face with her sleeve. But when I put the stethoscope on the metal, I heard something. A motor. Old servo. Like from the 1940s. My grandpa had one just like it. She pointed at the vault's base. The quantum panel uses too little power. Only 220 volts. But a real quantum locking mechanism needs way more. At least 400 volts to maintain the magnetic fields. Dr. Voss smiled. So you did the math? Yes, ma'am. 220 volts can run a display screen and some LEDs. But it can't power an actual quantum lock system for an 800-kilogram vault. Brad Kowalski stood nearby, arms crossed, his face still red. That's just a guess. You got lucky. Linda shook her head. It's not a guess. I checked the patent filing. Mr. Smith registered it in 2018. Page 47, footnote 12. It says, fail-safe mechanism, classical tumbler model K7. I screenshotted it 3 days ago. She pulled out her phone, showed the screen to Dr. Voss. The professor read it, looked at Smith. You told me the quantum system was the primary lock. It is, Smith said, but his voice lacked conviction. No. Dr. Voss stood, faced him directly. You lied. You installed my quantum encryption as theater, Dr. Voss said, as a distraction. The real lock was always mechanical. She turned to the crowd. Her voice carried across the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, what this child just demonstrated is called reverse engineering. She observed a system, identified its weaknesses, and exploited them using logic and evidence. The TechCrunch reporter approached Smith. Mr. Smith, you promised this young lady $100 million if she opened the vault. Are you prepared to honor that? Every camera in the room turned to him. He was trapped. Trapped by his own arrogance. His own cruelty. His own words. Caught on camera in front of 200,000 viewers. Soon to be millions. He forced a smile. It looked like it hurt. A deal is a deal. The crowd cheered. But it wasn't for him. Dr. Voss approached the vault again. Peered deeper inside. Her expression changed. William, we need to talk. Smith walked over. Looked inside. His face went pale. 3 server racks. Standard. Expected. But on the floor, a small metal box. Locked separately. A label on top. Handwritten. Project Genesis. Original Files 2014. The SEC auditor stepped forward. What's in that box? Nothing relevant to the audit, Smith said quickly. I'll be the judge of that. The auditor made a note on his clipboard. Dr. Voss turned to the auditor. Per the agreement, Linda had permission to examine the vault's contents to ensure everything was authentic. That's correct, the auditor confirmed. Then she has the right to see what's in that box. Smith's jaw clenched. That's private company documentation. Not part of the IPO assets. Then why is it in the secured vault? Dr. Voss's tone was sharp. The auditor stepped closer. Mr. Smith, if there's material in this vault that affects company valuation or legal standing, I need to know now. Smith was trapped again. He reached into the vault. Pulled out the metal box. Set it on a table. It's just old design files. Historical documentation. Then opening it shouldn't be a problem, Dr. Voss said. The box had a simple combination lock. 3 digits. Smith's hand hovered over it. Then he looked at Linda. Something mean flickered in his eyes. Tell you what, sweetheart. You open the big vault. Think you can handle this little one? It was a test. A challenge. A trap maybe. Linda walked forward. Looked at the box. Standard master lock combination. The kind you'd find on a gym locker. 3 numbers, 0 to 39. She picked it up. Felt the weight. Listen. 30 seconds of silence. Then she spun the dial. Right to 14. Left to 7. Right to 23. Click. The lock opened. Smith's expression crumbled for just a moment. Then he recovered. Linda lifted the lid.